I'd like to have a roll call, please.
Okay, Council President Perez.
Here.
Councilmember Corman.
Here.
Councilmember Prince.
Here.
Councilmember McIrvin.
Here.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Here.
Councilmember Benedetti.
Here.
Councilmember Van. I don't see her. Roll call, Mr. Mayor, one missing or absent.
Okay. What's the wish of
Mr.
the
Mayor,
council?
I would suggest we be patient. I'll bet she'll appear.
She sent me a message earlier and said it kept, her iPad kept dropping her. So she may be trying to get in the meeting and can't.
Perhaps
Can we move?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I was going to suggest maybe we could just ask the clerk to make a note when she comes to the meeting.
Will do.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get on with the meeting here. So next up is administrative reports, and it'll be kind of a two-part administrative report. I will be giving the first part, which will be sort of a COVID update. One of the things early on, I asked the administrators to make sure that we gave the council very timely, thorough information so that you had all the information at the same time that we did. And I'm sure that you're being inundated at home by just reams of information. So what we've tried to do is find the things that are new in the last week and that we can update you on it. So, and it's kind of by department. So I'm going to go ahead and run through these few highlights here. So administrative services has been working on keeping normal financial operations up and running. We're providing a stable IT infrastructure that allows telecommuting work to continue. I want to give a special thanks to the IT department. The work they have done the past couple of weeks has been nothing short of amazing. Additionally, we've been working to develop preliminary estimates as to the revenue shortfalls resulting from COVID-19, as well as identifying potential expenditure reductions and other steps the cities can take to offset those losses. In human resources, since our last update, Human Resources has implemented the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, which provides for two new leave laws, the Emergency Sick Leave Benefit and the Emergency Family Leave Benefit. In response to the pandemic resulting in closures of the city facilities programming, we made the difficult decision to terminate all of the supplemental employees effective 3/31 with the hope of rehiring them in the future. We are assisting these employees with their applications for unemployment and other questions and concerns they may have during this difficult time. In community services, per the governor's order, community services is providing essential basic operation services, which include cleaning, maintaining for health and safety, and securing all facilities and properties. We are also focused on additional ways we can serve our senior and vulnerable populations, as well as planning and preparing for business operations, programming, events, and communication when the order is lifted. The police department, the Renton Police Department continues to provide full service response to all calls for service. Additional services such as animal control and parking enforcement have been reduced to as needed. Our internal supply of personal protective equipment, PPE, remains satisfactory. We continue our social media campaign of supporting local businesses, education, and positive people stories. Currently, we're reaching out to the Asian business community with the assistance and collaborative partnership of the Renton Chamber to encourage support of their businesses and provide education on reporting crimes of hate or harassment. The police and the mayor's office will soon be providing informational videos to the Asian community to show our support and support of an inclusive city, as we have zero tolerance for hate crimes. Community and economic development, planning and permitting processes are occurring either online, telephonically, or by mail. building department, engineering, and code compliance inspectors are physically conducting inspections consistent with the governor's order for critical essential facilities. We are also accommodating other inspections which do not meet the governor's order, but they're virtually. Economic Development has reallocated staff resources to assist in outreach and support to the local business community. Economic Development has mobilized quickly to assist businesses in Renton with access to resources from the Federal CARES Act. Our consortium of economic development partners, Startup 425, which is Renton, Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, and Issaquah, have agreed to share the financial cost and hire Business Impact Northwest, which is BIN, to provide technical resources and support to local businesses within their respective cities. Businesses Impact Northwest is the lender for the Small Business Administration for the region. We've also moved Brittany Gilia from the Planning Division to the Economic Development so that she can be a single point of contact for Renton businesses seeking online services. As of today, we have a dedicated Renton phone number and email address for businesses to reach out to Brittany. We are sending out notices to all registered businesses tomorrow who have a business license, advising them of this new service. In addition, we have moved Danielle Marshall from Planning to Economic Development to assist the two Vista staff, Claire and Camille, to do direct contact with local businesses as well. So time is of the essence of this fund, and so we're putting a lot of resources right up front so that we can get outreach to these businesses and try and connect them with the federal dollars as quick as possible. We're told that it's not an endless pot, and we don't want to be the last in line. So we're doing everything we can to connect those businesses. Communications and information. We continue to provide daily updates on our website and through social media. We've also established a coronavirus page on our website and are working diligently to share information from public health officials via our Twitter, Facebook, and Nextdoor accounts. The containment of coronavirus is an ever-evolving situation with all events happening in real time. The best source for most up-to-date information is public health, Seattle and King County, and the Center for Disease Control Prevention. And in the census operation, the response rate so far for the Renton census is 51.5%. Our goal is 100%. Please help to make sure that Renton counts. One of the strategies we're undertaking right now is we've been offering a $10 gift card to Vietwa for the first 100 Renton residents who submit proof of completing their online census, and several other incentives to increase our participation, especially in our undercounted areas. Okay, and I think Bob has a few more comments that he'd like to add. He's here. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. It's nice to see you all again. I just have a couple items. On Friday, April 10th, from 9:30 to 3:30, an emergency tree hazard mitigation will have to be conducted along Maple Valley Highway, which is State Route 169, between the Riviera Apartments and Riverview Park. You can expect significant traffic delays in both directions, as traffic will have to be reduced to one lane in either direction in order to take down the tree. Brief sidewalk closures will also take place in this area. And the last item for this evening is that those companies and services that are deemed essential by the governor's stay-at-home order may be performing emergency work within the city of Renton in order to maintain their critical infrastructure to support the community. City of Renton staff are working with these companies and services to ensure that they are working safely within the public roadways, and request patience from our community and caution if you're approaching any work zone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have a good evening, Council.
Great, thank you. All right, up next we have a couple of proclamations.
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to read the Volunteer Month or the Duke-Tron Day proclamation?
You're muted.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, would you like me to read the Duke-Tron Day proclamation or the Volunteer Month?
Let's read that Duke-Tron first.
Okay. Proclamation. Duke-Tron Day, and recognize Asian Americans in our community as Renton's ambassadors. whereas the City of Renton's business plan and mission statement, adopted in 2012 by Renton City Council, stresses our commitment to building an inclusive city with opportunities for all. And whereas Renton believes that an inclusive community is fundamental in building a supportive community and promotes mutual respect and appreciation for all peoples represented within its community. And whereas the Asian American communities in Renton have shared their rich culture and traditions with neighbors and friends while setting examples as actively engaged citizens and public servants. And whereas by recognizing the contributions and accomplishments of Asian American men and women, our city's vibrancy and sense of community are stronger for our shared values of acceptance and respect. And whereas Duc Tron, owner of Viet Hoa Asian Market, is a founding member of the Mayor's Inclusion Task Force and has partnered with the city by promoting the Renton Multicultural Festival, supporting the Renton Census 2020 campaign, and generously providing services over the years to benefit the community as a whole. And whereas Duc Tron's contributions during the COVID-19 crisis include donations of lunches to hospital staff in appreciation for their hard work and masks and meals to the city's first responders. And whereas Renton believes in the dignity, equality, safety, and constitutional and civil rights of all people and will not tolerate hate, discrimination, harassment, or behavior that creates fear, isolation, or intimidation. And whereas we encourage all residents of Renton to stand with us in supporting your Asian American neighbors as opportunities arise and affirming the value they have brought to our city. Now therefore, I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim April 6, 2020 to be Duc Tron Day and recognize Asian Americans in our community as Renton ambassadors in the City of Renton. And I encourage all members of the community to join me in this special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 6th day of April, 2020, signed Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Perez.
I move to adopt the proclamation as read.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, well, tonight we actually are fortunate enough to have Duc Tron with us to accept this proclamation. So would you please turn your microphone on and give us a few words?
Hello, can I hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you, Mayor, and all the city councils. Very, very surprised me. I didn't know that, I thought it was a preparation is for recognizing Asian community and, for the non-discrimination. I didn't know that is for me. So, thank you anyway. I think it's my honor to accept that. And I think it's what I'm doing for all. It just kind of give it back to the community as, I always, and our company always did and always do. We're part of the community, and whatever we can do and support, yes, we will support it. And as my past probably 8 years involved in the city and different committees, so thank you, Mayor, and all the council members. Thank you. It's my honor to accept that.
Thank you very much. And when things get back to normal, we'll actually get you the declaration. So, we're really happy that you could be here. And for the rest of the council, just so you know, we had a kind of an impromptu meeting last week that Council Member Van put together with some of our Asian community members, with some of the concerns that surround some of the national media and some of the nonsense that's going on out there in different communities. And after listening to them, I really understood a lot better of the feeling of where they were coming from and how we could help. And I do believe that this is a great time and a great opportunity to really show how Renton has been the leader in inclusion, and by celebrating individuals like Duc Tron and participation and the things that he's brought to the community and what he represents as not only an Asian American but a business owner and part of this community is really a great way to change the message. So we've got a number of other things to reach out to the community. Like I said earlier, we've got a couple of videos that will be coming out, and I think the message needs to be loud and clear that we don't tolerate actions like that, but it also needs to be stronger. It needs to be the reason why it's so important for us to have a community that comes together and takes care of each other, especially in a time like this. This is not the time where we want to allow the very small number of small-minded people that could possibly start breaking down our group. So with that, I want to thank you once again, and can't wait to see you in person sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Khan.
Yes, Van, yes, thank you. I just want to say this is a very much surprise to me that there's a proclamation from Mr. Duc Tran, but of course there's no surprise given that his work within our Renton community. I think just that I very much appreciate you, Uncle Duc, and all the things you've done for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jason.
Okay, next we have another proclamation. This time it's for Volunteer Month. Whereas government alone cannot meet all of the community's needs, so we partner with businesses, faith-based and nonprofit organizations, foundations, and individuals who serve in city government and in our community to make a difference. And whereas the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that can change and shape our city. And whereas the City of Renton is committed to encouraging volunteerism and community service among its employees, residents, partners, businesses, and organizations. And whereas volunteers are a vital part of our city's future and its growth potential, and whereas volunteers are motivated by the satisfaction of helping their fellow citizens with a goal of making their community a better place to live and work. Now therefore I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim April 2020 to be Volunteer Month in the City of Renton in honor of the hard work and dedication of the thousands of residents who selflessly donate their time and effort in the spirit of volunteerism. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 6th day of April, 2020, signed Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Perez.
I move the proclamation to be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the proclamation as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We've got an amazing group of volunteers in our community, and surprising when this outbreak first started, it was really stunning the number of emails I received, people in the community that I've never even met, reaching out, asking how they could help. We're really blessed with an abundance of community members that are more than willing to help out in our community. So thank you all very much. Okay, next up we have audience comment, and the response to that. In response to COVID-19, council members are attending this meeting remotely. City Hall is closed. However, residents are encouraged to participate by submitting comments in advance. Email cityclerk@rentonwa.gov. Residents may also call in to listen to the call-in number is 425-7171. Then either the code is 033665 pound to join the meeting. So do we have any correspondence, Jason?
Mr. Mayor, I did receive one email to the city clerk at rentonwa.gov email address. It's anonymous. Essentially, he's asking why, he or she is asking why place a moratorium on evictions. Instead, they could just freeze rent. That's the gist of the email.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next up is the consent agenda. Any comments?
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
Yes, Council President Perez.
I think there is a comment on the floor.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Councilmember Van.
Yes, I was, for the consent agenda for the meeting minutes of the March 23rd, 2020, I noticed that it says we do the Pledge of Allegiance on there, and I could just be a routine thing, but just want to make sure the
Oh.
record reflects what we actually did.
Okay, I can fix that. I'll put this set and last week's set of minutes on for next week for approval. I'll make that change.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion to move the appointment of Mr. James Albertson to the Community Services Committee, as that is per protocol, because Community Services Committee is the committee that does the appointment to boards and commission.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
actually, Councilmember Van, that is not correct for Planning Commission. Planning Commission appointments go through the Planning and Development Committee. We made that decision about 3 or 4 years ago, that anything dealing with the Planning Commission would go through B&D. It wouldn't go through Community Services.
Well, I guess then the job is not updated. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember.
well, I guess I'll yield to Councilmember Perez, actually.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as published. Wait,
Mr. Mayor, sorry.
yeah.
I thought Ms. Perez was going to ask if we wanted any items removed from the consent agenda.
I'm sorry. I didn't know if I should add in my motion minus item A, which is the
Right,
council
that's correct.
minutes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I have 2 other items I'd actually like to pull from the consent
Okay.
agenda,
Okay.
if I may. So I'll pull the one that Councilmember Vaughn just mentioned, item B, and with the expectation. Well, I'll suggest we pull that one, and then also item F. F is in Foxtrot.
And second?
Second. Oh, you don't need a second that one.
I don't.
Any member can pull an item without a
Right.
motion.
Okay.
So, do we have a motion on the floor at this time?
Okay. I move that the council concur with the consent agenda minus item A, C, and F.
It was
No.
A, B.
B, and F.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the council concur with the consent agenda minus A, B, and F. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. All right. So, first up is item A. That would be Council President Perez.
Item A is the minutes that they will be revising. So I move that we refer these to the administration. Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Yes. It's been moved and seconded that we move item A to the administration. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that will be considered moved to administration. We'll get it fixed and return it next week. Okay, next one is item B, and that'd be Councilmember Corman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Councilmember Vaughn will get her wish here. I think I'm just going to suggest, since we're all very familiar with Mr. James Albertson, and I think all of us share, delight that he's made himself available for this role, I want to just recommend that council appoint Mr. Albertson to the Planning Commission.
Second.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember.
just for sake of process, are you, Councilmember Corman, are you asking for it to go council concur?
Council concur. Yes, thank you for the clarification. As opposed to going to the committee meeting.
Community. Okay.
Yes, thank you for the clarification.
Okay.
Now a second, right?
The moved and seconded that the item B be voted on for council concur. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. And the last item is item F.
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, this one I'm also going to recommend that we just go council concur. This is a 12-unit Renton Housing Authority project that's been underway. It's an integral part of our Sunset redevelopment plan. We've been working hand in glove with the Renton Housing Authority on this, and they've been counting on this particular tax exemption for a long time. So I'm just recommending, rather than go to planning development and delay it further, that we just go council concur on this one.
Second.
Oh, okay. It's been moved and seconded that we go council concur on item F. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Next, we have unfinished business. And first up is Council President Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Corman.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Bernadette.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And Councilmember Van.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Next up, we have legislation. It looks like we have none. All right,
Mayor,
so on to
Mr.
new
Mayor,
business.
Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we had that added ordinance. Is that going to be on the agenda tonight?
Yes. That's right. We do have an added a walk-on ordinance.
We have a walk-on ordinance. It's regarding a moratorium on land use applications for large developments.
I forgot about that. Council President Perez.
I believe we'll,
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the ordinance be placed in on first reading. On second reading on the next meeting.
no, I believe,
What?
We have to
I'm sorry.
read first.
Oh, so you read first. I'm sorry, I forgot my Robert.
so I believe we need to make a motion to add the ordinance to the
Yeah,
agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Corman.
Yeah, I would like to move that we modify the agenda to add
Thank you.
a new ordinance to the agenda tonight.
Second.
Perfect. There you go. It's been moved and seconded that we add and modify the agenda to add a new ordinance. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Thank you, Councilmember Corman.
Okay, so I will read it, first reading. Well, here we go. Can everybody hear me? Great.
Yes.
Okay, an ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, declaring a moratorium on land use applications for large residential projects, 150 dwelling units or more in a project within the Sunset area, declaring a moratorium on applications for waived fees for large residential projects, setting forth findings of fact in support of said moratoriums, providing for severability, declaring an emergency, and establishing an immediate effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Perez.
now I do move the ordinance to be placed on second reading on our next meeting.
Second.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Corman.
If, for clarification, do we want it to go to second reading tonight or second reading at the next meeting? I think maybe tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
I believe that was the original intention, yes.
Okay. So I modify my motion and to advance the second reading tonight.
Second.
Second. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we change it and move it to second and final reading tonight. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so for second and final reading, which will require a roll call vote, I'm going to read it again. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, declaring a moratorium on land use applications for large residential projects, 150 dwelling units or more in a project within the Sunset area, declaring a moratorium on applications for waived fees for large residential projects, setting forth findings of fact in support of said moratoriums, providing for severability, declaring an emergency, and establishing an immediate effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Corman.
I move approval of the ordinance as read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the ordinance be approved as read. Anybody have any discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Roll call. Jeez, I was so close.
Okay. Council President Perez.
Aye.
Councilmember Corman.
Aye.
Councilmember Prince.
Aye.
Councilmember McIrvin.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Aye.
Councilmember Benedetti.
Aye.
And Councilmember Van.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All ayes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, adding things to our agenda is already complicated, but then when we're all in different parts of the city, it just doubles it. So. Okay, next up is new business. Council President Perez.
Well, I hope that I can do this right tonight. So we have one. Okay, so I want to announce that next Monday, April 13, 2020, at 6:30 p.m., we will have a committee of the whole, and there is one item of the agenda, and that's COVID-19. Thank you, Mr. Update, COVID-19 update. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Corman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would just like to announce that I am going to cancel the Planning and Development Committee meeting that would have been held on April 13th at 5 o'clock p.m. as we took care of both of the items on the agenda tonight during the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Monday, April 13th at 5:30 p.m. Via video conference, the Finance Committee will meet. We have two items on the agenda, vouchers and Habitat for Humanity fee waiver. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember McIrvin.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran. You gotta turn it on.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Benedetti.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Van.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know it's trying time and it's unprecedented moment in our American society as in our Renton community. And as you have mentioned, we, the Chinese community members and with the Inclusion Task Force member, Mr. Duc Tran, have spoken to you, and thank you so much for being able to speak to them with the chief. It's very much an immediate concern. But as I get educated with their about their fears and discriminatory experiences in Renton, from a kindergartner telling us, you know, her classmate telling her, you are Chinese, you have coronavirus, you need to go back to China, to the most recent Filipino American who was mistaken to be Chinese and was physically attacked, and quoting to bring your China virus back to your country. I appreciate you and the chief, with the chief being ahead of the curve and just going out there and stating the zero tolerance for hate crimes. So with that, I am asking my colleague tonight to join in that as our community are facing certain, you know, not just the COVID-19 impact, but more than that, just because of their race or ethnicity. So I motion that council requests staff to draft legislations against bias and hate crimes against groups, especially Chinese and Asian American community, as a result of novel coronavirus COVID-19, and reject the terms such as Chinese virus to name such virus.
So Councilmember Van, just for clarification, are you asking the administration to draft legislation?
Yeah, I motion that council request staff to draft legislation. I was told that I have to motion it.
Okay, I don't see a second on the floor. Okay, any other items for discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure we understand the intent behind that. Is that enough direction for staff in terms of what we'd be doing? I'm not quite clear on Councilmember Van's intent. I agree with the principle behind it, but I don't know what that legislation would look like from her motion.
And that's the thing, it's a chicken and egg story, because that's what I kind of learned at council retreat. It's like, hey, I don't know what I'm motioning, so where's the paper, the draft, right? So I think the procedure is what I am told, is that we are supposed to motion as a council has to agree to drafting, and then at the next council meeting is when we actually read the draft and then vote on the draft. But we have to motion as a council in order for staff to draft a legislation. That's what I was told.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I was going to say, are there, I'm trying to remember, I think a lot of the hate crime legislation is state and federal. And so I'm just not clear on whether we're going to try and create our own, or I completely agree with the sentiment about making sure that our police are on top of enforcement of all of those laws. But I'm, it may be that if there's deficiencies in the law right now, that we should be lobbying to address it at the state level, which is, I think, where hate crimes are usually addressed in the law. But that's the part that I'm just having a little bit of difficulty with.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hate crimes would be a state issue in terms of legislation, in terms of
Yes.
rating.
Yes, certainly. And this is a resolution, not so much of an ordinance where we actually acted in the law, but as a council body, and having heard of our community concern and that we respect that, just like you've mentioned in your proclamation, Mr. Mayor, I'm here asking my colleagues on council here to basically stand in solidarity with our Chinese and Asian American community, and that we, again, zero tolerance for hate crimes. So it's a resolution within our council. So much of addressing that particular hate crimes itself.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Benedetti.
I'm unclear as to why this would be a legislative resolution as opposed to potentially a proclamation.
Well, it's my understanding is that council don't do proclamation.
Yeah, we've actually adopted one already. I think one or two of these already. So basically all encompassing. So
Which one did we adopt, Mr. Mayor? Because I don't.
well, we've adopted a zero tolerance for any kind of hate crime proclamations in the past.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I think the proclamation that we just adopted right now states that, and by the council voting to adopt the proclamation, it shows our full support for what the proclamation that you brought to the floor today.
Thank you. And one of the things I will say that to add to this is our meeting last week with some of the community members that were having an issue. They did give us some clear direction, what they would like to see. One of them was the proclamation we did today. The most specific thing they asked for is a video speaking to the younger kids and the children. These are things that we're working on. We're also we've also agreed to sometime this week go back and talk to the same individuals and give them an update of what it is that the direction we're heading. So,
Mr. Mayor, I don't think there was a date set for that. I asked for it, and you guys didn't allow us to have a date set. So I think that's incorrect. But the legislation or proclamation, however we
Councilmember
want to
Van,
say it.
I don't set my own calendar and I have lots of meetings, so I couldn't give you a date in that meeting. So is there a second on the floor for this motion? If not, we're going to move on. Any other business, Councilmember Van?
Yeah, that's that, because that is our community concern. And I think that as council,
And we are addressing it. You've given it to administration and we are addressing it, so. What's the wish of the council?
Move to adjourn. Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Any other comments before we go? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Well, thank you all very much for suffering through another Zoom meeting. I think we're getting better at it. This one was a little bit clumsy, but
Thank you.
see all next week.
I apologize for
And,
that.
I actually missed the dais.
I know.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.